Good morning. Thank you so much. Wow. Floyd, this
Yes.
is your time to read our message this morning.
All right. Well, the message this morning is from the book entitled Pass the Love, written by Deepak Chopra. And it's from the chapter Loving Practice. And this little segment is entitled Purifying the Heart. You are not going to follow a path that doesn't feel natural for very long, nor will it bring the growth you need, however well intentioned you are. There is a center in the body where love and spirit are joined, and that center is the heart. It is your heart that aches, swells with love, that feels compassion and trust, that seems empty or full. Within the heart is a subtler center that experiences spirit, but spirit is not felt as an emotion or a physical sensation. How then can you contact it? According to spiritual masters, spirit is experienced first in the absence of what is not spirit. In India, this is described as neti. Neti, which means not this, not that. Spirit is not caused. It is not bound by time and space. It is not a sensation that can be seen, touched, heard, tasted, or smelled. This may seem like a baffling way to define something, but imagine that you never had seen the color white, that the whole world consisted of red, green, blue, and all the other hues. Then one day a master came to you with a black shirt and said, "If you wash this enough times, you will see that it is white." If you ask to see white before you wash the shirt, what you ask is impossible. Black is the sum of all colors, and only if you wash them all away will white appear. In the same way, your present life is one of sensations, not just colors, but all the stimulus that comes through the senses. Some of these sensations may be very pleasurable, but none of them is adequate to tell you what spirit is. Spirit lies beneath the layers of sensation. To experience it, you must go to the heart and meditate upon it until everything that obscures spirit is cleansed. The purpose of the following exercise is to give you the experience of making your heart pure enough to witness spirit. Pure here doesn't mean good and virtuous. It means free from impurity, with no value judgment intended. In the words of William Blake, we are cleansing the doors of perception. And so it is.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Floyd. All right. So to begin our service today, I would like you to just sit back in your seat and relax. I know some of you are tense and sitting up close to the camera and whatever. So I just want you just now to just sit back and relax and take a deep breath. And I want you, if you're by yourself, you can say these words out loud. If you're with someone else, you have a choice. You can either say them out loud or you can say them to yourself. It's your choice. But just say to yourself, I am love. I am love. Say it again. And just sit back and relax even deeper. Just close your eyes and just say to yourself, I am love. And let yourself feel those words. Don't just say them, but actually allow yourself to feel the words. I am love. I am love. And the dog is speaking to tell us that she too is love. That's what happens when you're home alone. I am love. You can open your eyes now. Just each time though, you said those words, did you just feel that sense of being love? And because when you say I am, that's a statement of being. It's a statement of now. It's not a future statement. It's like, this is who I am now. This is who I am being. And so every day when you wake up, just simply say to yourself, I am love. It puts you in a different space and it puts you in a place where you are in the present, and you're in this present moment. So stop and think about it. If you are love, if you are being love, then how are you being? Who are you being? Are you being kind? Are you being caring? Are you being compassionate? Are you being empathetic? How about peaceful? And here's a good one. When you are loving, are you forgiving? Are you happy and joyful? Are you free from the resentment and anger? Just think about it. When you are being love, when you are being love, who are you? What are you being? How are you expressing yourself in the world? Deepak Chopra says, you know you have experienced love when you turn into love, when you turn into love. In other words, when you are being love. That, he says, is the spiritual goal of life. Just think, you know, we always try to get all these various spiritual gifts, and yet at the same time, our vibration of love draws to us the things that are good. If we only will just be love, guess what? Our whole life changes, because we start to vibrate at a different level. We start to be a different person, and we start to be someone who is attracting that which we are being, because that's how the law works. So today's Mother's Day, and because it's Mother's Day, I have a really nice, I like this story anyway. And some of us had mothers that, you know, they birthed us, and they lived with us, and they taught us, and they helped us to grow, and they supported us. And they were all that we could possibly want as a mother. And then others had mothers who were just mentally, emotionally, or physically absent. So we didn't all have the same mother. We didn't all have the same nurturing. But at the same time, we all had a mother, didn't we? At some time in our life. And sometimes, because we didn't have the kind of mother that we wanted, we had to do a lot of work ourselves on developing ourselves and growing ourselves and being more of the person that we want to be. But this is something that we have to do. Even if we have the most loving mother of all, we still have to become an individual person, knowing how to love and to be loved within our own selves. That's our own particular project. Like, you know, like Deepak Chopra says, that we have to become that love. All right. So anyway, there was this young teen mother, and the nurse is telling the story. She was pregnant, and she wasn't married. And so she decided to give the baby away because she felt like she could not care for it. And so the nurse that was in the delivery room with her knew that the adoptive parents were waiting outside for the baby. But the young mother wanted to hold the baby, and the nurse was like, you know, I've seen this before. It's not a good thing. You should not hold this baby. You're giving it up, and so you should just, you know, let it go. Don't see it. But the young mother begged and pleaded until the nurse finally gave in, and she let her hold the baby. So the mother is holding the baby, and she looks into the baby's eyes, and she says, I love you. Remember always, I love you. I wanted you, and I care for you. And I want you to have a happy life. And then she gave the baby back to the mother. She kissed him on the forehead, and she gave the nurse back the baby. So move forward. The nurse has a family of her own, and she has several children. One of them is a daughter. And one day her daughter comes to her and she says, you know, this boy that I've been dating, I really like him, and we decided to get married. So the mother, you know, the young man comes over to meet the mother and the girl's father. And he says, the mother says, introduces him, and she says, his name is Chad. And he's kind of standoffish. He's not, you know, real comfortable with them. But, you know, afterwards, the mother talks to the daughter, and she says she finds out that the young man was adopted, and he's very angry because his birth mother gave him away, and he's not happy about that. But the mother had asked the young man, well, how old are you? And come to find out he's 21. Well, guess how long ago this baby was given away? 21 years ago. And she goes like, it just can't possibly be. But then she keeps talking to him, and she finds out all this information, about his life. And the more she talks to him, and the more she gets to know him, the more she feels like, you know what? I bet this is the child that young woman, her name was Darla, gave away. But she doesn't say anything to the boy. What she does is she says to him, why don't you find out who your birth parents are? Don't you want to know who your birth parents are? And he's like, oh, well, not really. My mother gave me away, and if she gave me away, it meant she didn't want me. And so therefore, I don't need to find out who she is. So that went on for several years until the young couple got a nice home, and they were working and everything. And then the daughter gets pregnant. And when the daughter gets pregnant, then the prospective grandmother says, are you sure you don't want to know who your mother is? Because, if you know who your mother is, you have more information about the family and whatever. So he finally relented, and he says, okay, I will do the work. So he does all the work that he needs to do. And he comes to find out that his mother lives in Alaska. And so they call the mother, and the mother is excited to be in contact with this boy. And so they invite them to Alaska. Come to find out, the young mother, her name was Darla, and her husband is Randy, is the boy's father. So when he finds his mother, he finds his father too. They were a teenage couple. They were too young to get married, and their parents, encouraged them to give the baby away. And so they did, but then they got married later. They had, I think, 3 or 4 more children. And so now he's the oldest of all their other children. They invite him and his new wife to Alaska. They spend several weeks, and it's a joyful, happy, and this is a true story, by the way. It sounds like it's not, though, doesn't it? But it is. It's a true story. And, the thing is that things like this happen. They don't always happen. And I'm quite aware that every adopted child is not going to have a happy ending like this. This is just one time. But let us look at what is it that happened that allowed this experience to happen in someone's life. Ernest Holmes says, in the study of the science of mind and spirit, all is love. And love is the divine givingness. We cannot manifest love, he says, when we have hate in our hearts. The one who has learned to love all people will find plenty of people to return that love. You see, it goes back to I am love. When we are loving, then we attract to us love. And so this mother bonded with her child in the delivery room when she declared and accepted that she loved this child, when she said to him, you are wanted. And that vibration, whether he recognized it or not, stayed with him, and it stayed with her and the father. And they had talked about, the parents had talked about the child, they had wondered where he was, and come to find out the grandmother of the child had been writing. She had passed away by the time they had this reunion, but the grandmother had been writing letters to him every single birthday. And so when they met him, they gave him this bundle of letters that the grandmother had written to him on all of his birthdays. So, the thing is that here is a person who was loved. And, we may not have that kind of love, but we all have love that is surrounding us and holding us up and lifting us and pushing us forward. But sometimes we're too resentful or angry in order to accept it. Think about this young man. He didn't want to know who his birth mother was because his assumption was she gave me away. And so she gave me away. She didn't want me, right? But that's not the reason that mothers give children away sometimes. They give them away for a lot of different reasons. And in this case, he wasn't given away because he was unwanted. He was given away because he couldn't be cared for fully. Do you see the difference? So you see, the thing is he was given away out of love. He was loved because he was wanted. He was given away out of love. And that love that the parents had for him all those years kept loving him, loving him, loving him. The parents and the grandparents loving him and loving him. What did they do? It pulled him back into their circle of love, into that vibration of love. So if he had not found his own parents, he would have found a loving family, which he did in his wife's family. Do you see what I'm saying? Love just envelops us and allows us to have more of the life that we want to have if we will simply allow ourselves to be love, to say to ourselves, I am love. And that I am love attracts to us more and more and more and more love. And Ernest Holmes goes on in another part of the textbook to say, all is mine. And as we attract to us what we first become, until we learn to love, we are not sending out love vibrations. And not until we send out those vibrations can we receive love in return. So stop and think, if you are not having the loving experiences that you want to in your life, then you have to ask yourself, am I loved? Am I being loving? So many times in our romantic relationships, for years, how many of those books that they had, make a list. That was the big thing in the 90s, right? Make a list of the person you want to be in your life. What they didn't always tell you is after you make that list, go down the list and say, is this true about me? Is this true about me? Is this true about me? Because if it's not true about you, you're looking for someone to fill up places in you that you feel are missing. And so when you go through that list and you go, that's not true about me, then what do? You get busy making that true about yourself. Do you see? And that creates the vibration then that draws those people to you. Not just one, but many people. We have to give out those love vibrations. And where do we feel those love vibrations? We feel them in the heart, like Zizi was singing. We feel them in the heart. We feel them in the heart. We feel love. And when we feel love in our heart, and we listen to the love that we feel in our heart, then what our heart says is forgive. What our heart says is let go of whatever pain is there. When we have a broken heart, we have to mend that heart in order for love to flow into us. And when we take a deep breath and just simply say, I am love, what we are doing is pulling that into us. And it's pushing away everything that's not like itself. When we allow ourselves to feel the vibrations of love coming from our heart, then what it does, it creates spots of love. So when you're feeling loving, stop and think, you're feeling loving. I'm feeling loving. I am love. What does that do? I look out the window and I see beautiful flowers, and I know this is a gorgeous day, and no matter, even when it's raining, it's a beautiful day, and I have beautiful people in my life, and all the people who are around me, I can see the good in them. I can see the positive in them. I can see the love in them. And guess what? This is the thing that is so amazing. I have had experiences, I'm sure you have too, where people will say, oh, that person is just awful. I can't stand to be around that person. And you go, oh, well, that's not my experience of that person. They have never been like that to me. Why? Because you have a different vibration. And so even though you've got these two people and you got this one person, and one person is being repelled, the other person is being attracted. Why? Because of who we are. We attract from who we are. And so if we are being love, not looking for love, but if we are being love, if we are saying to ourselves, I am love, then we are attracting to ourselves that love. But we can't just stop there. We have to act out of love, because what happens? We listen to our heart. The heart and the brain, by the way, are connected, and they are finding that there are cells in both. Okay, we have physical demonstrations of our love moving, that vibration of love, our good feelings moving from our heart into our brain and making us feel even better as we move through the day. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the scientific part. You can look that up for yourself. But here's the thing. Love dissolves hurt and pain if we are willing to let go. Here's the thing. This is very important. If we are willing to let go. Sometimes we have a relationship where we go, I just can't. But you want to be loved and you want love in your life. This does not mean you have to have people in your life that are abusive and unhappy and unpleasant to you. I'm not saying that. What happens is those people will move out of your life because your love vibration is drawing to you what? Loving people. And so if you are willing to let go of the anger, of the hurt, of the sense of betrayal or resentment or whatever it is that is blocking the love in you, that's keeping you from being the most loving person you can possibly be, if you're willing to let that go and just simply say, I am love, and be love and act out of love, let those thoughts of love show up in your life, and then act the way they are telling you to act. Being compassionate, being caring, being giving in a joyful way, being peaceful. Okay, if you are willing to do that, what happens is the love in you starts to dissolve all those things. They just go away. You look up one day and you go like, I don't remember being, I was angry at this person, and you know what? I can't even remember the last time I even thought about that person to be angry with them. Do you see? That's how it works. Because it's sort of like if you're in a pool of water, right? Then all you feel is that water. That's all you feel. You don't feel the air, right? Because you're what? In the water. The water is all around you. It's over you. It's under you. It's all around you. And you can't feel the air because the air is outside of the water, right? So just think about that, being in a pool of love, and it's all around you, it's surrounding you, it is in you, and you're breathing it, and it's all it is love. And what will your vibration be? What will you attract to yourself? Give it a try. Won't hurt. Try all week. Try all day. That's what Science of Mind says. Try it. Try it. Experiment. See what happens. Love everybody for a week and see what happens. Love yourself for a week. That's a good one. Stand in the mirror and go like, I love you. I love you. You're the most wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful person I have ever seen in my entire life. Nobody knows how loving you are. Nobody knows you like I do. I love you. How about that? How would that be if you just did that every single day of your life? Just do it for the next week and see what happens. Okay? Experiment. Don't make it a whole lifetime thing. Just make it 1 week and see what happens. See what happens. This month we're talking about listening to your heart. So just experiment this month and see what happens in your life. Okay? What do you got to lose, as somebody once said? You have all the resentment, the anger, the upset, the ugly people that are in your life. You have those to lose. That's what you have to lose, okay? Can you lose it? Are you willing to lose it? That's all you have to do is be willing. Be willing. Be willing to love yourself unequivocally, regardless of what you're doing, regardless of what is happening, regardless of what's going on outside, regardless of how you're feeling. Just say, I love you. And then realize, where did that love come from? Within me. I am love. I am love. I am love. Say it to yourself right now. I am love, and I love you because I am love. Let's take these words and turn within. It is such an awesome, awesome, awesome possibility that we have in our lives to be loved, to love and to be loved. It is so wonderful and so awesome that we can say, I am love, and know that is the truth of who we are. To be grounded in it, to be rooted in it, to be completely, completely enveloped in the knowingness that I am love, leaving no spaces in our mind, in our consciousness, in our being that has anything other than the realization of I am love. I am love. Because God as me is love. God is love. And I am one with God. And because I am one with God, I must be love. There can be no other choice. Because God in me, through me, as me, expresses the love that I am through my body, through my being, through my expression of life in this world. It is through me that God expresses itself as love in the world. And it begins with me, as I know in this moment, I am love. And so I release this word now, knowing that it is the truth of each one of us as we accept this word for ourselves. We know it is the truth of who we are. We feel the blessing of that love within ourselves. And so we let it be right here and right now. We let it be the truth of who we are. We let it be the activity of our lives this day and this week, this month and this year of this life. We let this divine activity moving in us and through us as love up level the vibration of our lives in such a way that we cannot help but to see and notice that this love is expressing in our lives in ways that we never even thought it could. And we feel the blessing of it. We feel the joy of it. And we are enthusiastically growing and expanding in this love, allowing it to be the leader of our lives. And so with gratitude and thanksgiving for this and so much more, so much goodness, so much greatness, so much love, so much joy coming into our lives right here, right now, expanding them beyond the limits of our own imagination. I release this word now, knowing that it is done, that it is the truth of us, and it is done in this very moment, and so it is. Amen.